It's time for a Damn Good Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Shelby Clement. From corporate executive to CEO to entrepreneur and the founder of Damn Good Marketing Live, this podcast is all about digital marketing, building a business you love, and creating a brand that's authentic to who you are. So if you're ready for honest, raw marketing conversations that you will not find anywhere else, let's freaking get it. Hey guys, welcome back to Damn Good Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Shelby Clement. I cannot wait for this episode. I'm so excited to have my friend Amanda here with me. We're diving in deep today on new things that are on the horizon for her and just like girl talk, mom talk, business talk, all the things. Hey, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited about this conversation on multiple levels because you're a mama. Literally today I've learned you've lived like 7 lives because of all the things that you've done already. And then 2, your new venture that, hey world, we're about to tell you about.
About to be coming in hot.
All right, dive in. Give us a little bit about you, who you are, all the things. I want you to kind of dive into Cup of Grace. Whoop, there it is. But Cup of Grace, let's talk about what it is. What are you offering? Who is it for? And why do you finally feel that this is like what you were called to do?
Okay. That was a lot of things to talk about.
Yeah, just let it spill.
Okay, so I'm Amanda. I'm a mom of twins. I'm a wife, and I have lived 7 lives in the last few years since I graduated college.
Pause. And she's an Alabama fan, y'all. And if you know me, I am a 2-time graduating LSU person. So, I'm surprised we're friends.
I know, but I wait to tell people that part.
Well, I told them. So continue, please.
Yes. I went to University of Alabama for undergrad and for graduate school. In graduate school, I worked for Nick Saban, probably the greatest experience to date, just from a learning perspective, because he is a great leader. Mm-hmm. Even though people hate him, it's okay.
I think people hate him only because he left. Because I really do people think that people loved him.
Well, people hate him because he wins. If he left and he lost and he drove Alabama into the ground, people would have been like, I'm so glad.
And only LSU hates him because LSU doesn't have him anymore.
I think most people hate him, but that's okay.
Well, you know what? Whatever. Continue.
But so I worked for him, and then I went and worked for the NCAA in the Division II conference office. I was assistant commissioner, and then I went and worked and did golf tournaments. And then I went back to school and did something totally different and worked in the emergency room for 5 years. And then I bought a franchise. And now, 2.5 years later, here we are. Segueing. Cup of Grace.
Tell us about it.
So Cup of Grace is really a parent company. It's going to be for public speaking, for doing workshops, webinars, conferences, events, just a lot of different things, taking the 7 lives that I've already lived and really just encouraging and equipping others is what I want to do.
Yeah, and diving more into, because we did a strategy session before this, so now I feel like I know the goodness. But to give your knowledge in business, also being a Christian is huge in your life. Yes. So helping entrepreneurs, business owners, people in general, because you're doing personal development, professional development, business experience, motivation, keeping God in their business. Because we know, and we have this conversation downstairs, is it's tricky when you own a business because you could get to the point where we talked about failure too, and we're going to get into that, but how you can get to the lowest of lows and you start questioning everything.
Yes.
And so touch on the fact that why you are feeling at this moment you're called to do this right now.
I feel like I'm called to do this because I have walked through the valley and I have stood on the mountaintop. And I think both give you really unique perspectives from a faith perspective. And it is easy to, praise God and be happy and say you put him first when you're staying on the mountaintop, but do you trust him in the valley? Yeah. And I have walked through that, and I want to help other people, entrepreneurs, moms, business owners, any sector of life to know that the answer is always yes, you can, but what does that actually look like in a practical sense?
Yeah.
And it's hard to be a Christian business owner. It's hard to be a Christian in general, but couple that in the business world, it's really hard.
So as comfortable as you feel talking about it recently, talk about a little bit of the valley that you were in, of what maybe you've gone through that you've experienced, maybe your health concerns as a business owner, because I obviously have health concerns too right now. So what is it for people to grasp onto this podcast and be like, okay, she's been there, she's done that. Obviously tell us what you can, and obviously I'm not going to make you tell things that you can't, but give us something, or the listeners, that people that are listening to this, maybe they're in the world of entrepreneurship and they're at the lowest point of their business and maybe they have health concerns, maybe it's the stress level, maybe it's certain things. Like, what helped you get out of that? And at what point did you ever experience like, God isn't with me right now? Like, there's no way he can be with me at this moment. Like, I feel so deep, so down in the trenches of everything. Talk about that a little bit.
So I own a small business and a franchise, and this year, 2024, it's the hardest economy that's ever happened for small businesses specifically. So back in January, we made the decision that we wanted to list for sale, but we knew it was going to be a lengthy process. And then in March, I was at my godchild's volleyball game. Ironically enough, my best friend's a nurse practitioner, cardiac nurse practitioner. Her husband's in cardiac PA. And my heart rate dropped to the 40s and then accelerated to the 140s within seconds on my Apple Watch. And they were like, yeah, you should go see somebody. And it kind of just spiraled into, I had let my health get so out of control from a stress perspective. And even in it, I was still like, it's fine. You just keep going. You just keep going. You keep working.
Yeah.
And I realized that I was, you know, people say, oh, you only get one life, but you also only get one body.
Right.
And so if we don't take care of ourselves, what is all the hard work for? Why are we running 18, 20 hours a day if in 2 years our body shuts down, our mind shuts down, we're not even able to do it? So I came to the point of pausing, which I know you talk a lot about, and just saying what is really important. What, you know, people talk a lot about work-life balance. It's not real. That's not a real thing. It's you're juggling balls all day, every day. Some are rubber and some are glass.
Yeah. I just think that, what is your advice? Because like, we know each other obviously, and we've gotten really close. Honestly, I feel like I've known her for like ever. But the story of how we even met was DGML last year.
Yes.
Actually, one of our mutual friends quite literally begged me to give her a ticket asked if we had any tickets left. And I said no. And he goes, well, can I give her mine? And he was one of our sponsors. And so I said, yeah, that's fine. And I didn't even know who she was. No. She didn't even know who I was. And I remember I was about to go on stage and literally you saw me in the bathroom and I was like freaking out. So everybody listening to this, like, I'm not, even though on social media it looks like I have my shit together and I'm like, I can speak on stages, I can do this podcast, I can video myself, like, I still get nervous. And like, you saw that in the bathroom and you're like, can I pray over you? And I was like, oh my God, who is this girl? And like chills and like I wanted to cry, but like it gave me a sense of peace. And like ever since then, it's literally just been an evolving friendship. And so I've learned about what you've dealt with, you've learned about what I've been dealing with, and 2024 has been a freaking hard year for both of us. So anyone listening to this, I want them to have like, to give you, one, the credibility, and two, to give them the validation of like, if you are an entrepreneur, truly, and a mama, it isn't easy.
No.
And if you don't prioritize yourself, because when we do have children, even if you're an entrepreneur and you don't have kids, maybe you're getting married, maybe you're in school, or maybe you're doing something for someone else. As women, we always put other people in front of our own needs. And what is something that you've truly learned this year of like, even though we've lost ourselves, quote unquote, as a mom, as a wife, as a business owner, like that you had to change in order to get better? Because like you just said, we do get one life, we do get one body. If we don't take care of it, then there is no more you. There is no more changing the world. There's no more inspiring people. There's no more motivating people. So like, what was that one thing that you were like, this is a non-negotiable for me now because I have to get better?
I would say boundaries, which I am not good at. I am always a yes person. And I say, my husband gets on me because I say yes without even asking questions. Like, I'm like, yes. And then they're like, oh, well, it's a twice a week commitment and we're doing it. And he's like, did you not think to say, like what am I saying yes to? So for me, it was boundaries of saying, boundaries in business. Like, you know, we talk about getting a work phone and saying, hey, look, if you text me at 9:00 at night, you're not getting a response from me. And that, some people don't like that, but it's like, okay, but I'm killing myself from the inside out for what?
For what?
And boundaries in setting time blocks for myself. Like I get up every morning at 5 a.m. and 5 to 6 is like no phone, no anything. That is my time to set. So I would say boundaries is the easiest way to say it. Prioritizing, setting time management skills around priorities and not letting your calendar run you and saying like weekends are for my kids. And I become a mom at 3:00 every day, and that business email, it's not an emergency. It can wait. So boundaries was a big one, and not feeling like I had to do everything for everyone at all times, because that's not practical. And it's a very quick way to not, people say lose yourself. It's not even like lose yourself. It's literally lose your mind. Like you can't think straight. And when you cannot think straight, you do not make smart decisions, whether business decisions, family decisions, anything. So it's like you have to set boundaries, keep your mind right. Like for me, I get up every day and drink coffee and talk to God. And I tell people, if I don't get that time with Jesus in the morning, I'm not a good human, much less
don't talk to me.
No, I'm not. I'm like, and if I'm not a good mom, a good wife, a good business owner, like that is, I have to have that time. Yeah.
I think what happens is too, because like as a business owner, when I was first starting out too, because boundaries are like huge for me right now, because I suck at them.
Me too.
Literally. Like maybe take a little bit of our advice, but maybe not all of it, because we're still working on it.
This is a work in progress advice.
Like it's literally like daily. But first off, the 2-phone thing is the best thing. I'm not telling everybody to get 2 phones, but like if you don't know how to turn it off, like some people are really freaking good at turning it off. But like if you can't turn it off, then you are missing out on things at home. So like, I'm not saying as entrepreneurs, like you can turn it off, because there's no such thing as that. But like having boundary of saying like, okay, from 6 to 9 is my family time. And if I'm worried about a client or an email or whatever, then I'm distracted and I'm not 100% there. So like if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I'm going crazy, I'm working till 10 o'clock at night. If you have to say like from 6 to 8, you are just a wife or a husband or whatever it is, and you're just a parent, that is what it is. And maybe you have to start working again from 9 to 11. Now, I'm not saying like you can stop working if you're in the beginning of your business, because we've both been there where you've had late nights or early mornings or things you have to do, but setting boundaries. And I saw this on social. Layla Hormozy said this, like and we talked about this the other day, is you are telling the people how available you are.
Yes.
So like if you respond quickly, you are giving those people the perception of like, oh, she always has her phone, or she always answers her emails, or if I need something right now, Shelby or Amanda is going to answer, or whoever it is.
Yeah, you're setting the precedent.
Exactly. And so like for a while, it was this year that I had to be like, okay, first off, your health is way more important. Second, we have to start like telling these people what the boundaries are. And so I think that's like really big in business and in personal development in general, because even friends, like if people don't understand, I was always so scared of this. I don't know if you were the same way, but I was always so scared to set boundaries because I thought people wouldn't. I'm a huge people pleaser. So I thought, one, they wouldn't like me, or they wouldn't do business with me. I'm like, you are not my people. If you don't put my priorities first, unless it's like an emergency or something has hit the fan, then obviously that's different. But like, truly, when I started setting boundaries, like people respected me more, and I was like, holy shit, why didn't I find this sooner?
Other people are not going to set boundaries for you, and they're going to take it as far as you let them.
Yes.
So with setting boundaries, you also have to set the expectations for other people. So like the business that I own, I have 7 crews that work. So I have 7 job site supervisors, and my priority is to get to know their priorities. And I make that a point. What's really important to you? Because it's not the same for everyone. So like one of them, single guy, loves to hunt and fish. I know Saturday mornings he's going to be on a fishing boat, and I don't get to tell him that that's less important than my child's sporting event on a Saturday morning.
Right.
So you have to set the precedent of what is the priority and respect what other people's are. And it's mutual. So my crews, they know if you text me after 5:30, you're not going to get a response. So you have to set the expectation too, to be fair, because if they don't know the boundary, they don't know the expectation.
They don't know how to respect it.
They don't know how to respect it. But once that boundary expectation is set, same with my clients. I actually got this from Kelly Walmus. She's a realtor. She has her office hours in her email. So when she responds to you, underneath her signature is her office hours. So if you text, call, email outside of those office hours, it's the polite way to say, here's when I will respond to you. And I thought that I started doing that. And in my voicemail, same thing. I recorded in my work voicemail, you've reached blah, blah, blah business. Our office hours are 9 to 4, whatever yours are, because it lets people know you called me at 8:30 p.m.
Yeah. I'm not going to answer.
Not going to answer. No. But it changed. So my husband works from home, and we have to say a lot. I tell him, if you worked in an office, take us back 20 years. If you worked in an office, someone's going to call that phone. If you're not in your office, they leave a voicemail. And when you get back to that desk and you listen to the voicemail, that's when you're going to hear back from me. we have allowed that to change with now working from home and cell phones and stuff, but treat it like you work in an office.
Yeah, it's literally the instant, what we call instant gratification,
Yes.
or the instant response, or the instant, you need, like, we don't need it. Unless it's an emergency. You don't need something right now.
No.
And like, we live in a world of like such high speed, high stress, high everything. And like, everybody's craving the slow the hell down, pause, slow down, understand, get one with nature. I don't know. And a lot of times, like, the thing is, like, what you just said is so good to hear. And honestly, like, it's so simple, and we all know this, but we haven't, like, no one's really just said, like, this is what it used to be like.
Yes.
There was no cell phones, there was no running, there was no anything. It was just like, you go to work, you go home, and that's it. And then you spend time with your family, and that's how you do things. And people are craving that. And the sad thing is people are craving that, and the people that do that are called woo-woo or crunchy or whatever it is, when in reality it's just like getting back to normal shit. That was like something back then versus
whatever
now.
got done that day is what got done. And then the next day you started where you left off.
Yes.
Why do it is a millennial, well, I think it's a Gen X and millennial thing, but it has to stop. We have to stop. And that, even if you don't own your business, even if you work for somebody else, like I have a salesperson, I tell her, if your child has something at school, you better be there if that's what you want to be. Like, don't think, oh, well, I can't, because no. And I think if you're a boss and you're listening, you need to do the same thing, because we have to stop thinking that work is
more important.
And I'm not saying don't grind and don't chase dreams, and there's seasonalities to that. But at the same time, there's someone in this building who I lecture about this all the time. Like, time waits for no one. And so, yes, it's great to build an empire and build a dream, but there could still be balance and boundaries around that. And, you know, if you can't have a second phone, I think a great piece of advice is turn off notifications, where you don't get the little, you know, icon for emails and Instagram and all the things that's just constantly like, okay, what's red in the corner? I have to touch it. Like, turn it off. And then when you open it, then that's when you can go through. Katie Leperton, who talks about digital habits, that's a big one for her. She always says that, like, a notification is not an emergency.
No.
And I think we think that. The second we hear our phone buzz, or the second you see an icon, I have to see what it is right now.
Well, we live in a world of such, like, well, I talked about this a little bit this year, just like with social media in general. Like, you feel like it, well, first off, it owns a lot of people, because like, you're addicted. And I mean, I fall short to this too. Addicted, you feel like you have to answer at all times. You feel like all these things. And the reality is, if you plan ahead, like, people think I'm on social media all the time, and I'm not. Like, I think I got on this morning and talked on a story, and I haven't even opened the app again. I just haven't had time. But I also have, like, changed my habits of what I do with it because of where I was at the end of last year versus the end of this year, and like where I am now. And it's like, it can wait. And if you do certain tactics, it can work for you and not own you. And so if you're listening to this, and yes, I own an agency, a social media management agency. I'm literally telling you about getting on social media, talk about the values, do all this stuff. If you do it right, you don't have to be on it all the time. And then that's your first step of setting a boundary, setting a new habit, setting something with intention where it's not controlling you, and you get your life back. And I just think that this is going to go into the next topic, because I really want to touch on this. Is we talked about this downstairs, and I feel like social media has heightened this more, but like failure. And like, we talked about this downstairs, is like, failure is an ego thing. Yeah. And I love failing. And I tell people this all the time. Like, I feel like failure is how you succeed and how you win. Because if you don't fail, you are not getting better. No. And so, like, talk about a little bit of what we talked about downstairs about your take on failure and like how you look at it.
If you're ready to break through that small town mentality and take your business, brand, or corporate job to the next level, then Damn Good Marketing Live 2024 is for you. Now picture yourself surrounded by a community of like-minded individuals, all hungry for growth and success. DGML is your gateway to unparalleled networking opportunities and invaluable insights from industry experts. If you're ready to move that needle in your business and embrace a transformative experience, then I invite you to join us at DGML this year. Trust me, I've been in your shoes searching for that missing piece, and now I'm bringing it back to Louisiana because I know firsthand the power of putting yourself in the room. Because once you do, you'll be amazed by the transformation. So don't miss out. Secure your spot to Damn Good Marketing Live 2024. Check the link below in the description and let us know if you have any questions.
Well, I used to be like a huge perfectionist, and hence why I've lived 7 lives,
Yeah.
because I go way too hard at one thing. And so for the longest time, this is such a dumb example, but this will tell you, like, I hate bowling because I'm not good at bowling.
Yes.
So if I wasn't good at something, then I don't even want to do it. Like when everybody's like, oh, let's go bowling, I would be like, I hate bowling. Why? Because I'm not good at it. And I don't, heaven forbid you see me roll a ball down a lane and it goes in the gutter. Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. What a loser. You know, like that's
so relatable though, shit.
But it's so true. Yes. I truly, like, I hate bowling because I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
And so I sectored that into life. If I wasn't going to be good at it, I wasn't going to try. And I mean, like, really good at it. And so I, like, cringe to think about things, opportunities I passed up, because not even that I didn't know I was going to be good. I didn't know either way.
Yeah.
I might have been, but if I wasn't for sure. And so I've passed on a lot of opportunities because I was too afraid to fail. And that's really just pride. And, you know, when you think about, okay, what are you afraid of with failure? Yes, there's a lot of, you know, finances around failure, but is it really overall that you're more afraid of what it looks like? And I think for most people, that's what it is. But what are you holding back from because you're afraid to fail? I mean, John Maxwell, one of the greatest business speakers of all time, he says, fail early and often, as long as you're learning from it and it's launching you forward. And, you know, because I think if you talk to people who are wildly successful, rarely are they going to be like, oh, yeah, I've never failed. No, absolutely not. I tried this and it didn't work, so then I pivoted into this. Well, I tried this and, oh, my gosh, that was a disaster, but I've learned this. You know, I was talking to a businessman at the beach this summer, just struck up conversation with him, and I was saying how the franchise thing hasn't really worked out. And he said, well, you just paid tuition. And I was like, what? And he was like, you paid tuition to learn all the things that you've learned in the last 3 years. So don't look at it as a failure. Look at it as a course that you paid tuition in. And I was like, ooh, I like that a lot. That's a good way to
look at that, though.
And I think we should look at that with anything, not just money, our time, our talents, our efforts. You know, as long as you come to the other side of failure knowing, like, oh, I wouldn't do that again, or I would do it differently, then is it really failure?
Yeah. I always say, like, what's the worst that can happen?
What's the worst that could happen?
Are you going to be alive?
Yes.
Then really, you shouldn't overthink it. You should do it because, like, I really do feel like you aren't able to live out your God-given purpose unless you actually take the chance of different obstacles to get to where he made you for. And so, like, there's so many things I even tried. I was like, oh, I think I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. And I'm like, oh God, no. Like, I had to go through certain experiences. Last year I was like at a rock bottom. And then this year was even worse rock bottom. I was like, how much more bottom can I get to? But like, it made me into who I am today, where it's like, okay, now I feel like I'm actually living in my purpose and like in my calling. And am I going to be the same person next year? Probably not. I'm going to keep evolving into the person I was made to be. And like, when people don't take that chance, or they let the fear of failure, it's like, I'm scared to invest in this. I'm scared to do this business. I'm scared to leave my job. I'm scared to do this because what if then the next line is, because what if I fail? Okay, so what?
What if you do?
Because I used to think that way too. And yes, it's scary as hell, but who cares? Like,
who cares?
If you ask yourself and you boil down to it, it's back exactly what Amanda just said. You're scared of failure because of the thought and perception other people will have of you. And if that is what we're living for, then you're not truly living. No. And goes back to what we talked about in this episode. Like, you get one life to live. So are you going to stay stagnant and comfortable and like safe because you're scared of what other people are think? And I've had so many conversations. It's like, I want to be an influencer, but I'm scared people are gonna be like, oh, what is she trying to do? Be an influencer? Well, obviously that's
what I'm trying to do. Yes, thank you.
Right. And if you don't make it and you're like, oh, I actually don't want to do this, but like, I got into speaking because of this, or I got this awesome job. I didn't really want to be an entrepreneur. Now I want to just be like an integrator for someone because I found them because I took this chance.
Yes.
And I just feel like we don't have time to let other people dictate what we're doing. No. It boils down to, there's so many people that I knew just this year, like one recently hit hard. It was a client of mine. He's building this legacy, or he was building, they're still doing it now, but like, he was building this legacy. It's huge. He's got a massive business, went out on a boat and didn't make it home. And so his employees and his family know that it's like a huge thing for him to build this legacy he was building. So they're continuing that on, but like, you aren't promised another day. No. So why are you waiting to get in the room, or build the business, or take a leap of faith, or quit your job and go somewhere else, or whatever? Because like, why are you unhappy? Because if you're unhappy, then you're not going to be happy at home. No. You're not going to be present at home.
Gosh, it bleeds into everything.
Every single thing.
Everything.
It just makes my blood boil.
And I will tell you, so totally
fly. It's fine.
Segueing, not to get into something, but I have actually, so I'm 36 and I have buried 6 friends. And I don't mean acquaintances and I don't mean classmates. I spoke at 2 of those 6 funerals and they're all from different ways. And so earlier when you're like, you're super chill, I think that is part of that is because I've come to the place of like, what actually matters.
Yes.
And what actually matters is like time waits for no one and you're not promised tomorrow and all the cliche things that we hear, but it's true. And like, so
true.
why do we spend time doing the things that we don't want to do? And if you truly thought I only have a year left or I only have 6 months left, you know, the Tim McGraw song, Live Like You Were Dying, or Cody Johnson, Till You Can't, like those are, but why does that have to be the case? Why do we have to be faced with serious matters to say like, no, this is really what I want to do? And, you know, to go back to what you said about rock bottom, there's a scripture in Matthew where 2 of the disciples have already gone out fishing. They come up on the shore. Jesus is standing on the shore and he said, hey, you know, did you catch anything? And they're like, he's like, let's go back out. We're going to fish some more. And the disciples say like, oh, we've been fishing all day. There's nothing out there to catch. And Jesus' response to them is, did you go to the bottom? And he gets in the boat and they go out and they go down to the bottom and they pull up full of fish. And I think that's such a metaphor for sometimes in life, we're like, oh, there's nothing left, blah, 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 blah. And so sometimes like Jesus has to take us to the bottom to come up with a net full of fish.
Yeah.
And it's not pretty and no one wants to do it. And it's very disheartening. But when you pull up a net full of fish, that especially if it's Jesus in your boat, I mean, come on, like that's so much better than trying to figure all these things out and do what we think we're supposed to do. And back to, you know, talking about people not supporting you, that's a big one because I feel like people say, you know, let's just say influencer, because I know that's an easy one to take. People are like, I had a conversation, somebody's like, I don't feel like my closest friends support me or my family supports me or, you know, people talk about me, and that's a big one too. But again, you know, I'm going to bring Jesus into it. When Jesus went to preach in his hometown, his mom and his brothers didn't come. And the disciples asked him, how did you feel about that? And he said that a prophet gets no honor in his hometown. And that's great. Sometimes unfortunately, it might be the people closest to you who don't support you. But like, so because they don't see it, you're not going to do it. Well, God didn't put that calling on them. He put it on you. And he wasn't talking to them. He was talking to you. So do you let your calling pass you by because, you know, so-and-so on Facebook made fun of you for posting these videos all the time or whatever it is, or you wanted to open a nonprofit and somebody doesn't understand it, but that's okay because it's not their calling. It's your calling.
It's not meant for them.
It's not meant for them.
It's not your people. I always tell people this, like, people are going to have an opinion no matter what.
Oh.
So what opinion are you going to give them?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, are you going to just live your life and be happy and say, okay, you know, and keep doing it and go for your dreams and, you know, live out your purpose? Or are you going to sit stagnant and just chill because you're scared of what they're going to say? They're going to talk no matter what.
No matter what.
So why not chase your dreams? Dude, literally what you were talking about, I remember the beginning of this year, and when you are at such a low, and like when I talk about this, like if you're listening to this and if I start crying, we're just going to keep going. But when you're at a low, it's not because your family sucks. It's not because your business sucks. It's not because like literally everything could be going right, but like internal, you're like, this is not right. Yeah. This is not something that I want to continue doing. And that's where I was at the beginning of this year. And I was like, what does this even mean? And it's very, just like if you are listening to this, you're not alone, number one. Everybody's been through that. And I really want to be such an advocate that says like, this is not easy. Like I show up crying. I show up looking homeless. I show up looking great. I show up all the time because I want y'all to feel like this is such a safe space because it isn't talked about. And like entrepreneurship of like the highs, the lowest of the freaking lows are not talked about. And so I did feel alone for a second, but the thing with it is, like I like to say, you have to surround yourself with the people that understand. Not the people that can't really give you advice on where you are in your business. Not the people that don't understand why you're doing what you're doing, because they'll quickly tell you just hang it up if it's not working instead of you working through it. But one thing I learned fully was this: no one can pull you up except you and God. Because like if you don't trust the process, you will fall short and you will fall to the devil, in the sense of I physically did not know if I could continue doing the things I was doing. And so I just want you to know, number one, huge, you're not alone. And number 2 is like, if you try to walk through business or life without God, or having even like, it took me to the point of like, I've always been a Christian. I always believe in God. Like, I believe in all the things. Like, it truly is. But like, this year really made me like, he was like, slow the hell down. It's time for us to have a chat. And like, you were able to get silent, or me, was able to get silent and stop hearing the noise. I mean, I live my life on social media. So like, that was so noisy, but got brought back to him. And I was like, holy crap. Like, I can't stress over the little things. Like, I was stressing over stuff that truly did not matter. And like, the things that, even like my blood work that changed from last year at this time to just this year. When we got like my blood work done at the beginning of the year, is 6 months, something changed that was not present 6 months prior. And it was due to stress. For what? Because I wanted to be in control.
Yeah.
Instead
that's
of
exactly
relinquishing control to him, because we're not in control.
No.
Bottom line is this, and we had this conversation downstairs just now, is like, what happens as entrepreneurs in general, or if you're type A, or if you're just like, I don't know, me, I am a control freak, no matter what it is. And like, I always say, like, lately I kind of poke fun at myself, is like, I feel like I'm becoming more woo-woo, because 1, I have to like give up gluten and soy, and 2, I can't have seed oils and like all these things. So I'm trying to like change my whole family's lifestyle too. And people are like, oh, you're getting crunchy. I'm like, cool, yes, I am. Or I go get grounded in the ground, like the earth, barefoot, lay in the ground, whatever. I thought it was crazy too, but like, it's something that works.
Girl, I've been putting my face in a bowl of ice water. Okay, I'm with you on that.
Wait, me and Kelsey did that on vacation, and I still have the video. She won't let me post it, or I will. She's going to kill me for even saying that on this podcast or whatever. And I remember texting you, and I was like, how long do you put your face in water? This hurts.
It does. It feels like 1,000 needles. But then, because it's all like, I mean, I'm all about Western medicine, but at the same time, there are things that have worked for thousands of years, and they're just like factual things that are still, I mean, even my neurologist is amazing, because she obviously practices modern medicine, but she's also like, but I'm not going to give you 15 medications that you're going to take for the rest of your life. You have to make changes. And that the cold plunge was one of them, to reset your nervous system.
I know. I want to get the cold plunge, but I don't think I can put my whole body in it, because my face alone.
No, your face is worse. Your face is worse.
It is.
No, it's worse than your whole body.
It's like, you're not going down all the way. I'm like, I'm good. I literally went to like this part, and that was it. And she's like, you gotta like, I gotta show you that video, because it's freaking hilarious. But anyway, going back to, I just feel like it goes back to the perception of what people have of you, because whether you are failing or whether you do woo-woo shit that people call it now, like, you're scared of what people are going to say about what you do in your life. And like, you have turned a new leaf. Maybe not turned a new leaf, but I feel like, you've evolved just this year.
For sure.
In a better version of you.
Yes.
Because of what happened to you.
Yes, definitely.
And how did you, okay, let's give them some tangible things, tactical things here. How did you flip your mindset? Like, how did you say, no, this is now a non-negotiable? Well, I feel like I already know the answer to this, but like, tell us like what, because when you are an entrepreneur and you're so set in your ways, how were you able to flip it mentally for you to get better?
I think that, I do want to clarify, because sometimes people think the things we're talking about are only when things go wrong. Things can be going really well.
Everything is great.
Yeah. Like, I won an award in January at our national conference in my first 2 years of owning this franchise. And like, I probably was on the lowest 10% as far as size of franchise, but I won an award and walked the stage for people who have done tens of millions of dollars worth of business. But and that's what I think people don't understand, is like, oh, things are going well. Like, that's okay. It can be going well financially and growth and all these things, but it's internal. It's an internal thing. And I would say for me, it was the mindset of like, I am just genuinely not happy. Like, this is not, I am so happy in my personal life. My husband and I are in a place better than we've ever been. My girls are awesome. But man, you have to get up every day, or most people get up every day and go to work. So if you're freaking miserable all day, every day, or even majority of the day, something's got to change. You don't necessarily have to even change your job, but something's got to change within that. And so for me, for mindset, it was like, who do I want to be? Not who am I? Not, what's my title? All of those things. It's, who do I actually want to be? What's the legacy that I want to live? Because a business is not your legacy. I think too many, success is not your legacy. That is not, I promise you, I have never heard somebody read somebody's bank statement at a funeral.
No.
Never. That's
How do you
not.
make people feel?
That's it. Maya Angelou says that. She says, people will forget what you say, people will forget what you do, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that is such a good quote to me because that's my legacy. How do I, here I am. I'm at a conference. I got a ticket last second. I almost felt like I should shrink like a violet in the corner at DGML. Like, I'm really not supposed to be here, so don't let me and then I'm in the bathroom. I'm seeing you. You're about to go on stage. And in that moment, I was like, no, I'm just going to say, can I pray for you? Because that was what I wanted to do in that moment. And so that's who I want to show up as in the world. If you need a prayer, call me. If you need a motivation, call me. I don't want to be successful. I'm doing air quotes for that because what does that even serve a purpose if I'm not impacting the people around me? I want to equip, I want to impact, I want to encourage and leave a legacy like that. And I feel like that was the mindset for me. Who am I and who do I want to be?
Right.
And you don't even have to have a big job to do that. I hate when people say things like, I'm just a teacher, or I'm just a nurse, or I'm just a mom, or I'm just an administrative assistant. There is no such thing.
It's just as hard to do what you're doing.
Yes.
And you're making an impact being just that.
Yes.
By doing that.
Every
That's
day.
your calling.
That is your calling.
That is what you were supposed to be doing. We're talking about the people that just don't do the things that they're supposed to be doing because they're scared of everyone else. But I will tell this, everybody listening, you are that person because there are times even before I knew what was going on in your life this year, I would literally just send her a text message I just need a positive prayer. She didn't ask questions. I didn't have to tell her anything. She just said, okay. And that was it. And that's the type of friend and the business that you're about to create. I think it's going to impact so many more people than you're ready for because we were strategizing downstairs. And I'm like, oh my God, you need to do this. Oh my God, you need to do this. Oh my God, you need to do this. And that's when I looked at you. I was like, are you overwhelmed? Because it's all this action item stuff. She's like, no. And I'm like, that's when you know.
Yeah.
That is when you know and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I think that you went through all these different obstacles in your life because God was prepping you for this. And now you have the experience, the credibility to get on stage and tell people why you need to be on stage or what are you motivating them to do. And she shoots her damn shot. She's like, you need an MC, I'll be it. You need a keynote speaker, I'll do it.
That's right, yeah.
I'm at the point where I'm like, please ask me. But nobody's going to just freaking ask you. You have to put the content out there to make an impact. You have to put yourself in rooms. You have to advocate for yourself and why they need to know about what you do. And people talk about it like this. If you're not so excited to just tell the person at McDonald's checking you out what you do or how you can help them or if you can pray for them, how do you expect people to cheer for you if you aren't excited about what you're doing?
Right. And that's what I was doing with the previous role. I cringe telling people oh, what do you do? I'm like, and that's how I knew. I'm like, this is not what I want when I don't even want to say. My husband one day, he was like, you don't have anything about our business on your Facebook, at all. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm like, ugh. And
literally, I want you to say this. That's how good you were at what you were doing because you didn't even have to tell anyone.
Yeah, no.
And you had an award. I was like, get it. Okay, wait.
I didn't even want to tell, but yes. But now.
I want to tell people how they work with you, why they should work with you, how they can work with you. Y'all, she's just launching this.
Yeah.
So one, go give her love. We're going to put all of her handles, obviously, in the show notes. But y'all, if you are a business owner or you're just thinking about being an entrepreneur, consultation. She's coming up with freaking group coaching. She's going to do webinars. We're talking about an event that I can't wait. I'm going to push you for this one because I'm
going to do it.
There is a gap in the market for an event like this.
I'm going to do it.
And I think what happened, especially in the world, I'm getting sidetracked, especially capitalize, exclamation point, all the things in the world today, people need more God in their life when they are just being a human.
Yeah, every day, every single day.
For some reason, there was a gap in social media, gap in the world of people scared to say, I believe in God. All right, guys, I want to take a moment to give a huge thank you to all of our sponsors for DGML. Hallware Wellness and Aesthetics, Emma's Shoes and Accessories, Michelle's and Ledoux Orthodontics, The Beauty Bar, Let's Make Plans, Shelby Clement Marketing, Connie's Impressions, shout out parents, Heather Lato Photography, Haven Flower Farms, Woodlake Addiction Recovery, Lettuce Media, Arena Collective, The Neat Method, Career Dental, Vet Naturally, Kinder Diaz and Associates, The One Pot Mama, L&H Homes, Contemporary Baby, and Shannon Fowler with Ironbridge Wealth Counsel.
Well, that's what it is. And it doesn't even, I'm not even just talking Christian, just any religion. People are afraid to say things. And it's like, but that goes back to like, but then you're not actually being genuine to you. You know, whenever, ironically enough, when we were getting recruited for our franchise, the franchise recruiter I was like, I don't know if I'm into this. And I remember so distinctly, he said, okay, well, if you could do one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be? And without hesitation, I said, spread the gospel. And he's like, what? And like, I shocked myself. And Andy looked at me and I was like, I don't think that's what I would have known that I would have said. But that's like, it's when you really think, if somebody says, not a dream job, but like, what would you want to do with your time, talent, treasure, who you are as a human? Like, what would you want to do? Whatever that answer is, do that. And it might not be your occupation. It might be a passion project. It might be where you spend your time, but like, do the thing that gets you excited. Like you were saying, I want to tell somebody at McDonald's. I want to tell this person. And if you don't, then it's not your thing.
It's not your thing.
And you can still work a normal 9 to 5. We understand bills got to get paid. People got to make a living. But there are ways that you can still chase dreams and follow your passion.
I think people just get so tied up in that it has to make me money to do it, or what are people thinking? Because like they'll say like, well, I can't just leave my job to do that. Well, technically there's ways you can stay working and you can start a side hustle, or you can volunteer your time, or depending on what you want to do. There's like the word I can't is so ingrained in our society.
Yes. And
the ability to stay true and authentic to yourself has also been suppressed because people are so scared to be canceled. Yes. I do not give a shit. There are certain things I'm not going to talk about. That's off limits. I'll tell people outside of social media, but it's not really for social media.
It's really more just because I don't want to argue about it.
Exactly.
It's not that I'm afraid to talk about it. I just don't want to talk about it.
The thing with it is this. If everybody could just come to the table with an open mind instead of trying to fix the thought process of someone else, then yeah, we could all talk about it. But it's such the cancel culture of like, what do I talk about, what I don't talk about? And that's why I think people got like, they strayed so much from God that they didn't want to offend anyone. And like, I fell short to this too. When I first started my business, I was like, I work with people all over the world. But like now I'm like, I believe in God. Like I welcome you with whatever you believe in. But like, this is me. And if you don't like who I am, then you can leave. And that's fine. I don't mind. But I love that your business is so God-centric that it's like, even when you are in the valley, like you need to trust him. That is probably the most time that you need to cling to him.
Yes.
And I just think that this is such a huge thing that you're doing. And it's not just going to be like small town, like Covington.
No, I don't think
North
it will.
Shore.
I don't think it will.
It is going to be international.
Oh, we're not even saying national. We're going international.
No, I'm done. Because I feel like people are craving it so much. And it like makes me emotional for you and like makes I just believe in it. Like now, like sitting down with you, not that I didn't believe in you before, but like sitting down, understanding what you actually want to do. My brain's working, your brain's working. I'm like, oh, you could do this. You're like, I could do this. Like all these things. I just think you're about to make some impact, woman. Are you ready?
Let's do it. Yes. Let's do it.
Okay. So tell us who this is for.
So this is really for anyone, honestly, professional, personal development, consulting as far as if you want to launch a business, strategizing, like if you have a business and you feel stuck, strategizing with you how to get unstuck, teaching leadership because Christian leadership is very different and strategic leadership is different. You know, if you don't have to be a Christian to work with me, I want to say that, but you know, I can teach you strategic leadership, branding. Networking is a big one. People think they're good at networking, but they're not. So Christian entrepreneurship is a lane all of its own. That goes for anybody. Webinars, courses, really a lot of in-person public speaking, coming to BNI groups, business groups, Chamber of Commerce meetings. It's really for anyone, but also personal development as well, because there's a lot of areas in our personal lives that we need, help with.
What would you say when it comes to networking and getting your business out there and like starting it, or even if you're in business for 3, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, what is your like tips on like really taking full advantage of like the networking? Because like you're huge in networking.
Yes.
Like you're in groups and you're always going places and like doing all these things. Like what are your tips on like really making sure it's effective networking?
Well, you know, there's an old saying that people buy from people they trust. Well, how do they trust you if they don't know you?
Exactly.
I mean, it sounds so simple, but we get so stuck, whether you're in sales or marketing or just business in general, like in the surviving, in the task, that we take a step back from the growth, that like we're just trying to get through this sale, we're just trying to do that. And it's like, okay, but then that's such a like scarcity mindset. So you have to think, I want to be known, even if somebody's not going to use me right now. When they're ready, I don't even want them to Google social media management teams. Oh, that's easy. You need a social media manager, Shelby.
Yes.
That's
Top
networking,
of
top of mind. And your network is your net worth.
Yes.
Because people will say, how do you know this person? Because I make a point. Get in the room is a huge one. You know, I'm a big get in the room. Conferences, even small things like Chamber of Commerce, go to ribbon cuttings, meet people, introduce yourself. So, but networking, to me, there's 3 things. So we have time for me to go into this?
Yes.
Okay. Call them the 3 Ps of networking. It's what are you passionate about? What is the purpose? And what are your priorities? So I worked in sports. There a long time ago, a while back, they implemented that you're required to go to the press interviews after. And Marshawn Lynch went, and every question they asked him, he responded, I'm just here so I don't get fined. No matter what. I'm just here so I don't get fined. I'm just here so I don't get fined. And I feel like in networking, that's what you're showing if it's not something you're passionate about.
Yes.
If you just show up because you think you should, your face, your body language, your conversations, the perception you're putting off is, I'm just here because I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
So like, if it's not something you're passionate about, don't do it. Just don't. People who go and sit on boards that sit on 4 and 5 boards of stuff, like you're not doing it well and you're not doing it with passion. The second thing is, what is the purpose? Like DGML, you are very clear. I know, okay, I'm going to this event. I say, what's the purpose of either the event or the group? What's the purpose of DGML?
Yes.
Okay, she's very clear. I know the purpose. Yes, that aligns with what I'm trying to do. Okay, I'm going. If it's a group, what's the purpose of the group? If the purpose is to get together and drink coffee, nothing wrong with that, but that might not be where you want to spend your time initially when you're getting into networking. So that's where I say purpose is important. And lastly, priorities. What are things that are, you know, my mom calls them command performances. That's like for our family stuff. But, you know, command performances of like, if you're a home builder and a local home builders association is hosting a day event, that should be your priority. Where maybe meeting with a realtor for lunch, maybe that's not your priority. So to me, those are the 3 Ps. It's passion, purpose, priority. And focus on those things first, especially when you're first starting out, because you can waste a lot of time just going to things just to be going to things. So they all need to meet the 3 Ps, and then you need to do a breakdown after. If you sponsored something, do I wish I would have sponsored at a higher package level, or was I even worth sponsoring at all? When I went to this event where DGML, I'll just keep using that because I know that like those are the people that I need to be in the room with. And I know that because I went last year and I did a debrief. Oh, I'm for sure going this year. Although I've gone to things and said, it was nice, but I don't know that I would go back. So you need to debrief after same events or groups.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that was like a bad event. It just means you might not be at that state yet or anymore. And like I've gone to events recently where I'm like, okay, wait, that, you know, it was fun. I loved it, but like it didn't do anything for me.
Yes.
But you have to be aware, basically.
And it's not putting down their event, but that's why I say with networking, people cast this huge wide net and they fire off like a shotgun and they go to like literally every single thing that is hosted in their area. But like that can be a huge time suck when you're first starting out. And if it's not something that is going to help you either connect or grow your business, then it's just pointless.
Yeah.
So I say be diligent and specific, whether you're joining groups or events or sponsoring anything. You need to do it wisely to where it's moving the needle forward. And say it is some people having coffee. Circle back to that when you're at that point in your business. Circle back to the things that maybe didn't drive the needle forward enough. But when you're trying to grow, networking is not just socializing, and that gets confused a lot too.
100%. And like, if it is okay, which I've learned, to ask, like, okay, how many people are going to be in the room? What does that actual like demographic look like? How can I bring value to them? How can they bring value to me? Or is this someone that I can learn from? Is this someone can learn from me and hire me potentially as whatever?
Yes.
Are you building that bridge where it's going to build the trust factor? They're going to convert. You've talked about this. You just talked about this. They might not be in the buying mindset in that moment, or they might not be your client, but someone they know is your client, and you want to be at the top of mind when they are ready to buy. So networking is huge. Investing in yourself is huge. Getting in the room is huge. Like, we're not saying this just because like we want to.
No.
We're saying this because this is what changed the game for myself and you. I did not start putting myself in the room probably until late 2022, early 2023 in my business. Because at first I was like, I don't have to. Like, I'm making money. Like, I'm fine.
Right.
Like, I'm successful.
Yeah.
Who cares? Whatever. And it's very scary to invest in your business. It's very scary to put yourself in the room. But in reality, when you do that is really when the needle moves.
Yes.
And when I started doing that, I was like, holy shit, there's a whole nother world out there.
Yes. And it also, like, putting yourself in the right rooms. Like I said, so if this is a really crazy story about how I ended up at DGML last year, was someone that was in my business group invited me to do a table at Arena. I'd never met anyone from Arena. He was like, oh, they're doing this event. Do you want a table there? So I said yes. Then I met someone whose table was right next to me who said, are you going to DGML? I was like, I don't know what that is, who that is, what are you talking about? And then through being at that event, I met the sponsor who had the ticket, and then I came to DGML. At DGML, I met a person there who was starting a women's group that I'm now the city ambassador for. And all of that started because of the very first business group that I joined.
Absolutely.
And then two or 3 weeks after DGML, I went online and applied for the tax ID number for the business that I'm taking out now. And that was almost a year ago. So even though I wasn't ready for DGML when I did it the first time, I really wasn't.
Yeah.
It launched into a whole nother realm of things.
You don't ever know who or what opportunities are in a room or networking event until you do it. And then you're like, wow, I definitely didn't see that coming. And it could be something that can change your freaking life, like yours.
And this is not even a promo for DGML. I've been to several events that I felt that way.
It can be a promo, though, if you want it to be.
Yes.
I'm just saying, but go ahead.
Well, and so I told Shelby this when we first started talking. I was like, I don't plug things that I don't agree with.
Absolutely.
That's a big, not even don't agree with, but like if let's say I went to DGML and it was just an okay experience, then I wouldn't speak on it because that's just not.
Or you wouldn't be coming back.
Yeah, I wouldn't be coming back. And I even upgraded to the VIP this year because I was like, yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah.
But it's so important. And sometimes on anything, another big thing when I was starting in business, I would not do things because I was like, well, I don't have the money to do that. It's not where I need to spend my money. And so it is true. You do need to look at purpose. Is it actually purposeful when you're starting out?
Yes.
But investing in the growth of yourself is investing in the growth of your business. Because if you're not growing as a leader, whether you own it or you're just in a management position, it doesn't matter. If you are not developing, growing, striving forward, no one underneath you will either. That's a huge thing you set the precedent for.
I love that because, like, truly, if you aren't meant to be in rooms or the purpose of being in that room is not really there, then the person that's putting on the room doesn't want you there anyway.
No.
Because I only want, speaking from my stance too, like, I only want you to invest in yourself if it makes sense for you to be in my room.
Yes.
And if you're going to meet the people or move the needle or get the confidence or whatever it is that you're looking for in that realm that I am hosting an event in.
Yes.
Where it may look like I want everyone to be there, but like I don't. Because like in all reality too, these networking rooms are for everyone. So what value do you bring, but also what value can you add? And so like I think what I learned last year too, actually it was the beginning of this year. This year feels like so long, but it like feels like a short year, but it feels
long
like a long
2024.
year. But I'll say I learned this is like be unapologetic about what your ask is. So like ask something, but also give something. But like say I want I need 3 podcast guests, or I need to get on 3 stages, or want to get on 3 stages. Is there anybody in here that can help me get on 3 stages that are paid? Whatever it may look like, whatever anybody's goal is. And so when you get in that mindset that everybody in that room, in the networking room, is there for something, but also to give something, then you're going to get so much more out of it.
Yes, for sure.
I don't know. I could speak on this forever. But anyway, tell everybody how they can find you.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Amanda Delaup. And then you can find our business at cupofgraceco.com.
I love it. I'm so excited. Welcome to the world, Cup
Thank
of
you.
Grace. It's only
Thank
been a
you.
year in the making. Literally, quite November something will be like a
Yeah.
year in the making. But
Did
I'm
you
so glad you freaking just like are walking in your purpose. I feel like this is going to impact so many people. So like, even if you're not a business owner yet, or you don't have anything on your heart, go follow her, because like truly, like, first of all, Carpool Chronicles are amazing. She really gets passionate on her stories. Like, man, I love it, because like somebody abandoned a dog the other day. If you know, you know. And just like your life with your girls, and like just you as a human. So I love that. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I love it. I love you.
I know, I'm just so excited. I might cry. Anyway, I'm so dramatic.
No, it's okay.
Anyway, until next time, guys, let's freaking get it. And that's a wrap on another episode of Damn Good Marketing Podcast. Thank you all so much for being here. Make sure you comment, review, share it with a friend. Come back next week. And until next time, let's freaking get it.